With Season 1 of The Owl House wrapped up, it's time for the best part of watching any show: fan theories! The Owl House has so many hidden codes and plot-centric Easter eggs sprinkled throughout, it's impossible not to read into every little hint the creators give us. I'm Whitney Van Laningham, and these are a few of the coolest Owl House fan theories floating around the internet. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our super nerd sponsor of the day, Charles Sheed, for supporting us on Patreon. King's potential alter egos. Okay, I know when you immediately saw this video's thumbnail, you said to yourself, Whitney, you've already placed your bets on who the half-drawn character from the charity livestream is. But listen, we saw a great comment by Nookie Brownie-san 2000 on my last video that honestly blows my mind, and it's one of my favorites. According to Nookie, this half-drawn character looks suspiciously like King. As soon as they said it, I couldn't unsee it. King's red pupils are similar to this blonde dude's eyes. And funnily enough, it even makes sense that his human form is blonde. As I mentioned in my last vid, King used to have a blonde coat in early concept art. Although they ultimately gave King darker fur, this guy's blonde hair could be an homage to those initial storyboards. This mystery character also has what looks like a bite taken out of his ear on the same side where King's horn is broken. Maybe that torn earlobe turned into a busted horn when he morphed into his demon form. Is it just a coincidence that these characters are both missing a piece of their left ears, or is there something more at play? Dana also drew a little speech bubble with the words, "I'm tired" above his head. And who takes more naps than King? He's more like the king of getting sleepy and eating snacks than of demons. Perhaps King has always loved a good midday siesta, even in a potential human form. This echoes another theory currently making circles that King is the last remaining Titan. Although this theory doesn't have a ton of concrete proof, it's quickly become a fan favorite on the internet. What if King is actually the last Titan in existence, or at the very least a descendant of one? This theory was actually born more out of what we don't know than what we do. Despite being one of the three main characters, not much is known about the King of Demons. The fact that we don't really know King kind of sneaks up on you. He's so adorable and constantly front and center, it feels like we spend so much time with this character. But we don't even know exactly what kind of demon he is. He's an expert in demonology and knows everything about every demon on the Boiling Isles, but all he's told us about himself is that he used to be a mighty ruler. We don't even know his real name. As he explained in Sense and Sensitivity, King is more of a title. And although he's a talented writer and a surprisingly great teacher, King hasn't demonstrated any significant supernatural powers, besides napping and snacking. Because every detail of the show is so intentional, it seems to me that the creators distracted us with how cute and funny he is to make his true identity a big reveal in a later season. That's why the vaguer the answers Dana gave in her Reddit AMA, the more I started to believe that King might actually be one of the most important characters to the entire series. Here's what we know about the Titans. They perished long ago, but it is unknown when, how, or why, and it's also unknown where they came from. Bellows claims to be able to communicate with the Titans on which the Isles rest, but we don't know if that's true. The Titan could be long gone with no way of actually contacting him, or its spirit could live on in the natural elements of the Isles. Or maybe the Titan lives on within King. Hear me out. In the AMA, Dana answered a question about the characters' ages. While she gave an estimated age for Ida and Lilith and cited Willow and Gus as being 14 and 12 respectively, she merely responded with a line of question marks for King. This could mean one of two things. Either he's just a demon whose age doesn't really matter for the storyline, or King's age is a mystery because he's actually a Titan. Like the Bat Queen, perhaps King has been alive so long that he doesn't really remember how old he is, or every detail of his past. Maybe it's been so long that all he remembers is that he was a mighty ruler, but can't remember his true heritage. But if King is a Titan, why is he so itty-bitty? I think the answer to that question lies in King's collar. In the AMA, Dana was asked to explain the significance of King's collar, as well as to shed some light on how his horn got broken. But all she said was that we'd find out next season. This proves, though, that his collar isn't just an adorable addition to his character design. It has a purpose. And clearly, since King hasn't told us his name, that purpose isn't the same as a traditional dog collar. Remember in the body swap episode when King got kidnapped by those two old ladies who wanted to baby him until his mind turned to mush? That got me thinking. Although the dumb little outfits they forced on those creatures weren't actually mind control devices, they were used as an infantilization tactic to subdue their captives. What if King's collar acts in a similar way? What if King's collar oppresses his true power in some way, preventing him from growing to full size and unleashing his magic abilities? It would be the perfect way to subdue a mighty titan, make them small and cuddly, and take away all their powers. King could have been trapped in that collar so long he's completely forgotten his true identity, and has instead become a lazy, snacky house pet. If this is true, I believe the collar was put on King to protect him from whatever was killing the Titans. Perhaps he's the son of a Titan, or even the reincarnation of a Titan who had to evacuate their corporeal form. It's possible that someone took away his magic out of malice, but if their intention was to defeat him, wouldn't they just kill him once he was small and powerless? Or find another way to siphon his abilities? If that is the case, King might have escaped and is still currently in hiding. But he's been around Belos too much. I think if the Emperor's Coven had any idea that he was a Titan, they would have been just as excited to capture him as Ida. If King is in the Titan Protection Program, I believe that whatever forced him into this state has to do with his broken horn. My theory is that King broke his horn in battle, and his injuries were too severe to keep fighting, so he had to go into hiding by slipping on that collar and becoming adorable. King's horn skull also looks pretty similar to that of the Titan on which the Isles rest, except that King's is obviously damaged. Of course, I could be totally wrong. King's broken horn, collar, and mysterious age could have nothing to do with the Titans, and everything to do with his regular demon origin story. King could just be the fallen king of demons like he said. The Bat Queen's origins and fate. Speaking of Titans, there's a lot of buzz around the potential connection between the Bat Queen and those fabled beasts. The main thought is that the Bat Queen is the palisman of a Titan. This theory is definitely very divisive within the Owl House community, so I thought it would be a good idea to discuss both sides. While some take it at face value that the Bat Queen really was just the palisman of a giant, others think that she meant that she was once a Titan's palisman. Let's examine the giant evidence first. Obviously, the Bat Queen herself said that her owner was a giant, so there's that. Many have pointed out that the main reason why the Bat Queen has to have been with a giant is that she's not big enough to have belonged to a Titan. The entire Boiling Isles is made up of the massive skeleton of a Titan, so we know that those dudes were huge. The Bat Queen is pretty big, but many fans think that she's just not big enough to top a Titan's staff. And proportionally, that does make sense. She would be pretty tiny compared to a gargantuan Titan. But think about this. Palismen are made when the user is in their teens. What if the Titan who carved her was just a kid when he began crafting her? Surely the Titan wouldn't have been full-sized at age 14. Perhaps the Bat Queen was the right size for his staff when he made her. Fans have also pointed out that the Bat Queen appears to be roughly the same size as the heart in Belos' castle, which many theorize to be a Titan heart. A human heart is about the same size as your fist when you're a child, and when you're fully grown, it becomes the size of 2 fists. You want something fist-sized at the top of a staff so that you can grip it if needed, so the Bat Queen would actually be the perfect size for a young Titan's staff. Add in the fact that palisman magic seems to be of similar interest to Belos' Titan magic. It makes you wonder if there's a deeper connection. Because we now know that palismen are going extinct in the Boiling Isles thanks to Dana Terrace's Reddit AMA, I think this connection means we're looking straight down the barrel at an upcoming Bat Queen Belos blowout. Like I said earlier, Bat Queen can't remember most of her past, but she does know that she was discarded when her staff broke. Her protection of abandoned, mistreated palismen makes a lot more sense now that we know that Belos is chugging them like White Claws to manage his weakness. The Bat Queen would be the ultimate protein shake for Belos. Imagine how much juice is inside that big ol' noggin. So I'm positive that he's gonna come after her. But I have faith in my girl. Not only is she absolutely the most terrifying looking creature on the Boiling Isles, she has that fierce mama energy I was talking about, and she'll stop at nothing to keep her baby safe. No way in hell is a palisman Jamba Juice opening at Belos' palace on her watch. Belos is a fraud, Luz is the real deal. I think we're all on the same page about Belos being a total liar McLiarson, right? If he's willing to lie to his second-in-command Lilith about healing her sister's curse, he's definitely lying to everyone on the Boiling Isles. And what makes me think that he can't even communicate with the Titans at all is that we already saw him lie to all the witches at Ida's little Medusa ceremony. Although it's Luz that convinces him to let everyone go in exchange for the portal, Belos tells everyone that the Titan asked him to spare the Owl Lady's life. No the Titan didn't. Belos just didn't want to seem weak for compromising with a human teenager. That lie alone makes me question if he can even communicate with them at all. Being the only person able to speak to a deity is pretty convenient. And listen, I'm not saying that it's not possible that someone in the demon realm can communicate with a Titan. I'm just saying it's super easy to lie about it if you're the only person who has proof that you're actually doing it. everyone just believes him because they don't really have a choice or a reason not to. Belos is the most powerful witch alive on the Isles, or so most people believe. If they wanted to question him, he could just turn them to stone or curse them or throw them in jail. He's not exactly the kind of ruler that responds gracefully when his people question him or doubt him. And he's clearly going to great lengths to keep up appearances that he's still at the top of his game. I think that Belos needs to keep drinking palisman juice and building this portal, because if he doesn't find a more permanent cure for his rapidly decaying body, everyone is going to find out that he's not actually as strong as he says he is. And in my opinion, that will ultimately lead to them finding out that he can't communicate with Titans. If he could, why wouldn't he just ask the Titan to heal him? Surely an all-powerful Titan has an interest in keeping his only line of communication alive. If he's their boy, why don't they help him? But that being said, I do think it's possible that Luz is the person who can communicate with the Titans. Where most witches on the Isles have adapted out of being able to see spellglyphs in nature, Luz picks it up fairly easily as soon as she learns how to spot them. Although wild witches in the Savage Ages used glyph magic, witches seemingly became more reliant on their bile ducts than performing rudimentary handwritten spells. Although I'm sure it is possible for witches to learn glyph magic now, like Ida and Lilith will next season, Luz is the only person we've seen so far who can just spot them out of nowhere. That ice glyph appeared to her when she needed to learn it most, almost like the island itself was pointing her in the right direction. Her connection to the Isles seems both natural and learned. Ida teaches Luz to open her eyes to the wild magic that exists in every cell of the Isles, but I also think that the island is communicating back to her. I have another little theory that ties into this. What if the Isles lured Luz in to fulfill some kind of prophecy? And I know, we already learned in the Wizard episode that that wasn't necessarily the case. And I know that it could totally just be happenstance that Albert stole her stuff and brought her back through the portal in the old house in the woods. But what if it wasn't a coincidence that she found the Isles that day? What if the Titans were calling to her? Through that mysterious house, through Ida's palisman, and through the magic that exudes in nature on the Isles? What if Luz is the chosen one of the Boiling Isles, but Belos has been lying about having that power all along and wants it for himself? I don't even know where to start with this one, because in my opinion, there's so much evidence that Belos is from the human realm. Let's begin with the Day of Unity, and its possible meaning. I strongly believe that the Day of Unity has something to do with merging the human and demon realms. And I get it, that sounds like some Star versus the forces of evil planning, but hear me out. What else could a Day of Unity mean? It has to involve something uniting with something else. And so far, the only two realms we really know about in this universe are the human and demon realms. Yes, it's possible that Belos wants to access a completely new place, but we know that the portal he stole from Luz and Ida goes directly to the human realm. We don't even have confirmation that it can lead to anywhere else. So to me, it makes the most sense that Belos is trying to unify humans and magical beings. But why would Belos want to do that? If he's from the human realm, it actually makes a lot of sense. What if, like Luz, Belos got trapped in the demon realm with no way to get home? All we know about his past is that one day he rose to power, claiming that he could communicate with the Titans, and that they told him that they didn't want witches mixing magic anymore. And sure, he could just be a greedy nobody from the Boiling Isles who wanted power and glory, but think about it. If he's a human, he'd be completely threatened by all other witches because they have the bile duct advantage. If he wanted total control over them, the easiest way to do that would be to strip them of their power to even the playing field. Also, Belos doesn't seem to use traditional magic the same way that other witches do. Instead of performing spell circles, he uses his staff, which appears to be made of half magic, half sci-fi tech. Without a bile duct, he wouldn't be able to do magic via spell circles, and would have to either rely on glyphs like Luz does, or craft himself a staff using both palisman wood and modern technology. Also, Belos seems unable to leave the castle, and I believe that it's because he can't stray too far away from the Titan heart pumping in his throne room. Why else would he constantly send everyone else out to go do his dirty work for him? Why can't he just go get the Owl Lady himself if Lilith, his guards, and Kikimora proved unable to capture her? Something about that heart is keeping him alive. What if Belos wants to merge the human world with the demon realm so that he can go home without having to leave the Isles? Aw, you guys! What if Belos misses his mommy? What if he's been trying to find a way back home this whole time? Maybe he rose to power to try to figure out how to return to his old life. And now that he has the portal, he can simply merge the two so that he doesn't have to live without either one. I think this could potentially be a major storyline for Luz going forward. It's the one thing I can think of that would have her completely torn between fighting against Belos' oppression and empathizing with his desire to have the best of both worlds. I'm sure Luz spends every second of every day wishing that she could see her mom again and continue studying magic. Belos did promise Luz that he wouldn't do anything to hurt the human realm. And while part of me knows for a fact that Belos lies constantly, even to those closest to him, part of me thinks that maybe he was telling her the truth in that moment. Maybe he doesn't want to hurt humans. Or maybe he wants to control humans in the same way that he controls witches, but in his mind that isn't hurting them. Like, obviously Belos thinks that what he's doing is right, so maybe in a twisted way, he believes that he can help humankind by introducing them to magic and ruling over them. What I'm not sure Belos knows is that magic cannot be performed in the human realm without a magic bile duct. When Luz and Lilith tumbled through the portal during their fight, Luz was unable to use her glyph magic to fight her. If Belos really can't perform magic the traditional way, he's gonna have a rude awakening when he gets back home. That leads to my next little theory that ties into this one. I think it's possible that Belos is extracting power from witches when he takes away their magic upon joining a coven. It's the answer that makes the most sense to me when I ask myself, where does all their unused magic go? Maybe Belos has a way of extracting their no longer necessary magic and using it for himself. Clearly, if that is the case, siphoning magic isn't working for him anymore. Homeboy looks rough before he eyeballs his talisman juice in the morning. Perhaps his body is breaking down, and he needs the pure stuff just to get him through the day now. My theory is that this is why his eyes change color. Maybe his eyes change to the color of the magic he's ingesting. When he slurped that first talisman, his eyes were bright green. But later during his fight with Luz, his eyes are a mechanical blue. I think that the type of magic he ingests gives him a little boost in that specific area of magic, causing his eyes to change. These are just some of my favorite fan theories about the Owl House, but I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Again, I could be totally wrong about all of this, so let me know if you have a better theory or more information that I missed. This video was actually way longer, but I had to break up the theories to spare my editor's sanity. So if there are additional theories you want me to look into for part 2, let me know. As always, like and subscribe to NerdWire and stay tuned for more Owl House videos. Hoot hoot!